Hi, and welcome to another episode of Starship Gaming. And I'm going to talk about something that's kind of strange, but it's something I've thought about for at least 2 months now to talk about. And I'm going to talk about, and it is Christmas related, by the way. I am going to talk about the one item I always wanted for Christmas, but never got. For whatever reason, either it was unobtainable or ridiculously expensive, and this was a mixture of both. Let me set the scene for you. This obsession started with an arcade machine, as you've seen on your screen for several seconds now. The Lost World Jurassic Park arcade machine by Sega, the light gun one. So this obsession started in January 2004. My family went to a A&W restaurant. That particular A&W restaurant does not exist anymore. Something very bad happened there with a food poisoning case, and now, many years later, it's a Pizza Hut, ironically. But what occurred here is I went to an A&W restaurant, and you walk in and has all the dining area, and then there's a hallway that just kind of goes off to the side, and in this hallway it had several arcade machines. I remember one of them was like NFL Blitz, and the NFL Blitz had a thing where you could like bring your Nintendo 64 cartridge with your team or whatever on it, your custom team, and put it on there, and then you could play it on the arcade machine. And I believe that's how it worked. And then next to it was the Lost World Jurassic Park light gun arcade machine. And I was already a huge Jurassic Park fan. I had been a Jurassic Park fan since the 90s, at least since the time the Lost World Jurassic Park came out, which also happens to be my favorite Jurassic Park movie. Or I should say Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movie now. But that's when my obsession started with it. So I'm back in this hallway, and I find this thing. I pop, 50 cents in it. I think that's how much it cost to play a round of it. It might have been $1. And I played this until I beat it. I think I wasted like $6 on this machine back in the day. And I was in love with this thing. I'm like, Mom, I run back down up the hallway to my parents. I go, Mom, Dad, you got to see this. It's the greatest thing that ever existed. Of course, this arcade game had been out since '97, and this particular A&W restaurant was leasing it. But I was like, you got to get me one of these. You got to find out where to get one. I got to have it for Christmas this year, which was 2004. So my mom, of course, being the one that said, yeah, we'll get it, never did get it. And I found out years later that these are almost unobtainable now. They're either in the hands of private collectors, they've been destroyed, or they're sitting in warehouses wasting away almost over 2 decades later. And this particular A&W restaurant had this one up until they closed around 2006, I believe. And I would go there frequently. 2005 or 2006, I can't remember. Anyway, they went out of business. And then it reopened 2 years later as a Pizza Hut. They still had the arcade section, but when I went back there, no Lost World Jurassic Park, no NFL Blitz, gone. Just replaced with generic, arcade games that were around in the early mid-2000s. Nothing interesting like some of the 80s and 90s stuff was. But this was the one thing that I always wanted for Christmas and never received. And to this day, I have been hunting for one of these. And eventually I'm going to gift myself one of these for Christmas someday. I'm not sure when, but someday. And, I don't know why I've always been obsessed with this particular arcade game. I think it's just the novelty of it being, dinosaurs and Jurassic Park and whatnot. But I've always wanted one. And yeah, I can get one on eBay if I want to pick one up. I don't want to go all the way to New York, which is, several hundred miles away. If I could have one delivered to me, that would be great, but I doubt they would do that due to the weight of the shipping costs and whatnot. But I have made it a goal in my life to track down one of these. I don't know why I've always liked it. It's just, I've loved it. I don't know if it's just the look of the arcade cabinet or the novelty of it or what, but I've always wanted one. And it's not the only type of one. this was obviously the one I played, but there was also one that you could it was covered and you could sit down in and whatnot. And it had the moving seats, which the original Jurassic Park game Sega made in '94 had moving seats, which I've played that one frequently at Chuck E. Cheese, which, as an adult, I think I would break the thing if I sat down in it. I'm not heavy, but it was definitely made for kids, And the thing is, I think another reason why I always wanted one was because when I was growing up, I frequently played the Lost World Jurassic Park video game, which I had the special edition, which had the T-Rex level at the beginning. I think it might have been a little bit more difficult than the original version that came out in '97. I can't quite remember, which I've played both, but I think it might have had something to do with that, because I had the PS1. I was still playing it. I was and I played that game frequently. I would at least play through it and beat it at least once every 6 months. And it happened to be that shortly before I went to that A&W restaurant and saw this arcade machine, I was doing my every annual 6-month playthrough of the Lost World Jurassic Park on PS1, which I acquired from a pawn shop around, I believe, October 2002 for $5. Which I don't have that original copy now. I don't know what happened to it. I think one of my friends growing up might have stole it around 2006, 2007, because it just disappeared. Either that or I loaned it out and they never returned it, which that was pretty frequent when I was a kid growing up back then. Well, not really a kid at that point, but a teenager. So, my question for you is, and I want you to answer this in the comments down below, what is a video game or a system or an arcade machine or pinball machine that you wanted as a child but never got because it was either unobtainable or too expensive? Or anything gaming related, really, that you was never able to get. And for good measure, we'll say any toys that you wanted. Like, say in Christmas 95, Christmas 96, you wanted a Star Wars Power of the Force Millennium Falcon that you saw at Toys R Us but never got because, your parents couldn't afford it back then, because they were pretty expensive. Believe it or not, I'm recording this as I'm sitting in my store right now. I actually have one in front of me, and I believe, let's see what the price is. I know this is kind of weird for you. It's weird for me too. $79.99 is what this particular one on our shelf says. Yeah, that was pretty expensive in '95. I think Millennium Falcon toys, Star Wars Millennium Falcon toys, I believe that they are still $79.99. Nothing has changed in 24 years. So, answer that question for us in the comments down below. Like I said, any toy that was unobtainable or too expensive that you always wanted, or any video game or anything video game related, arcade games, anything. And tell us in the comments down below. And we are not done yet. If you stuck around this long, congratulations. It is now time for our segment, Steven Says.
So, almost Merry Christmas, guys. Almost getting there. So, today's topic, Brandon was wanting me to talk about things like what I would love to have for Christmas. Like, that would have been probably too expensive, or something that was probably unattainable. Well, I've got two things. One of the things is a video game. The one game, when I was growing up, one Christmas I got a GameCube. The game that I kind of wanted to play so bad as growing up, kind of when I first got my GameCube, was I always wanted to play Luigi's Mansion. I mean, nowadays, if I had a 3DS, I could play it. Yeah, I don't have that either. I would totally play it. Yeah, I would love to play Luigi's Mansion. But the one game that I do have that gives me my Luigi Mansion kind of fix is the Haunted Mansion for PS2. And yes, I know, wallpaper. I know, I'm a bit silly with the wallpaper. Heck, I've even got the stretching room wallpaper in front of me. So the other, every game I would a game system I would have loved to have. If possible, I would love a save or Sega Master System, or mostly because I think the games would be awesome. The one game I would, not because I think it would be cool to think, but I keep on, games I would love to get would be something like, say, Spawn for SNES. What game system I would have loved to have? I never had the N64 as a kid. Never had an Xbox, so yeah, I never had that either, so I never got to experience something like Battlefront 2. Unless I got it for PlayStation 2. The other one thing I would love to probably be either unattainable or very hard to find. I would love to have a book that talks about the whole history of Disneyland's The Haunted Mansion, from its conception to how it's changed over the years. I mean, I know what you're thinking, Steven, you could watch a YouTube video about it, but I know I could, but that would be something I would cherish. I mean, this is a thing that I love. I mean, not the curtains. I love the curtains. But the Haunted Mansion is something that actually, when I was a kid, I was kind of afraid of the dark and all that, and then, I was first afraid of the Haunted Mansion. But as I got older, it became my introduction to the horror genre. It just would be something that would just make me happy, would just give me an ear-to-ear smile. Just, I don't know. I mean, if there's one thing I would love to have, it would probably be Impossible. I would love a remake of The Haunted Mansion. That's not gonna be hard to find. That's impossible. He did not say anything that's impossible, but if there's one thing I would love that would be impossible to have, a remake of The Haunted Mansion. Some things I would love to have: an Xbox, Sega Master System, Luigi's Mansion, or a book about The Haunted Mansion. But that's all I've got to say. Getting ready for Christmas. Ready for watching. Hopefully you get everything you want for Christmas, and I'll talk there. Bye-bye.
So, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It is almost Christmas as of the recording of this video. And we do, as of right now, have 2 more videos planned before Christmas. We are actually going to release, as of the recording of this, it's December 23rd, 2019. We have at least 2 more videos planned before Christmas. So we're going to have probably 2 released on Christmas Eve. And then, of course, we're going to have a few episodes and the Season 2 finale on before New Year's. Probably be like December 30th or something. Yeah, there's just so much planned. And like I've said, if you haven't watched our past videos, you really need to. You need to go back and you need to watch them. Start at episode 1 and just binge watch the things, So, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out. It helps us grow. It helps us stay motivated to make more videos. If we can't grow, then we're not motivated to make more videos. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications of when we make more, or I should say release more awesome videos. And until next time, I will see you.